I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Another day, more dangerous, disgusting, disturbing, and disqualifying statements being posted by Donald Trump on his social media platform. The most recent post tinged with disgusting, misogynistic hate in him. Let's just delve right into the statements that Donald Trump posted on his social media platform. Here he writes, "The fake and corrupt news is only getting worse. As an example, I agreed to do a short telephone interview for a once very good, but now on its, quote, last legs and failing New York Magazine. The reporter was a shaky and unattractive whack job known as tough, but dumb as a rock, who actually wrote a decent story about me a long time ago. Her name, Olivia Nuzzi. Anyway, the story was fake news. Her, quote, anonymous sources don't exist. True with many writers. And I'm happily fighting hard for our great USA." Well, you're absolutely not fighting hard for our great USA. You are fighting hard to destroy our great USA. Olivia Nuzzi wrote a piece about 4 or 5 years ago where you gave her a private tour of the Oval Office. This is Olivia Nuzzi, by the way, who you're saying this hateful and misogynistic things to. And Olivia Nuzzi recently wrote a story, and the story is called "The Final Campaign Inside Donald Trump's Sad, Lonely, Thirsty, Broken, basically pretend run for re-election," which isn't to say he can't win. That's the title of it. And Olivia Nuzzi states that her account of the first month of Trump's 2024 presidential campaign was reported from inside Mar-a-Lago based on interviews with more than 20 sources, including Trump himself, from the campaigns and the family, from the White House, and hanging now on the periphery. It is a familiar tale of Trump in isolation, having gained and lost the world, only now the stakes have changed. And the stakes have changed because Trump is an utterly isolated loser right now. He is no longer in the White House. The terms within which he speaks about Olivia Nuzzi is just so utterly despicable. And this is how Donald Trump speaks about women generally. And I think about my fiance, I think about my younger sister who is 18 years old. I think about my mother. I think about all of the women in my life. And I think about what an important role they've played in making me who I am today. And I would be nowhere without them. And I think about all of the young women out there, all of the women of all ages out there, frankly, and how disgusting it is to have someone who used to represent the United States of America speak about women this way. It is so disgusting, so dastardly, so misogynistic, so hateful. It makes me sad. It makes me deeply, deeply upset. And the fact that people can support Donald Trump, this traitor, this hateful, disgusting man in isolation, living in a weird resort whose corporation has already been convicted on 17 felony counts. How dare you say the things that you've said here? It is utterly, utterly disgusting. Donald Trump then he posts all these things like within an hour of each other because this is all he does all day. And I'm going to spare you a bunch of the reposts that he does, but he posts like dozens of times in the day. This is what Donald Trump writes next. He goes, "Very interesting, because until recently, the political hacks and thugs of the highly partisan January 6th Unselect Committee were seldom talking about your favorite president, me, as it related to the all caps protest on election fraud. Number one, as president, I have total immunity. Number two, I did nothing wrong. Then the committee members, mostly the same sleaze that pushed the Russia hoax, started saying that, quote, Trump did it. Even Shifty Shift got into the act again, sad." We talked about on the MeidasTouch podcast. By the way, go subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast if you haven't already, wherever you can get your audio podcasts. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. But here, it's like his own language. It's his own weird language. Like, I read that paragraph, and frankly, you have to like decipher. We said on the MeidasTouch podcast, it's like Magalese. Like, I don't know. It is so incoherent and rambling, and the thoughts are so not cohesive. Like, these aren't coherent sentences, that it's hard to even decipher what he is saying here. But when he says, though, when you go into, as president, I have total immunity, you absolutely don't have total immunity. And that shows that you are utterly, utterly scared right now of being criminally prosecuted. And guess when you don't have any immunity? You don't have any immunity when you are not in office. So your theft of government records after you left the office, you absolutely have zero, zip, zilch immunity for. And if you want to talk about the immunity that presidents are supposed to have, it's supposed to be for presidents who follow the law, engaging in the course and scope of their presidential duties to uphold, to defend, to protect the United States Constitution. There is not absolute immunity for trying to destroy our Constitution, but I zero in on that language from his statement right there. Now floating that he thinks he has total immunity. It tells you how utterly scared that he is right now. And then he goes, number two, I did nothing wrong. Well, you absolutely did a lot of things wrong. You're a traitor to this country. You led an insurrection against our country. You continue to try to lead insurrections against our country. It is utterly, utterly disgusting. And then you call our members of Congress hacks and thugs is what you call them. What a despicable traitor that you are. Now he posts a video of John Voight saying, "Wake up, America." And Donald Trump writes, "We are a nation in serious decline, a failing nation. Somehow we will make America great again." What a disgusting traitor you are. And just how weird is it that you have to be posting videos of John Voight? And then Donald Trump posts this. He goes, "We have a weaponized Department of Justice. Very dangerous." And he's like weirdly quote posting. It's so disorganized. It's unclear what he's even trying to do here. But it looks like Adam Kinzinger did a post saying, "Our work on the January 6th committee has led us to criminally refer Donald Trump to the Department of Justice. We now turn to the criminal justice system to ensure justice under the law." And here you have a post where he posts Marjorie Taylor Greene ostensibly responding to Adam Kinzinger saying, "This is their play. The communist left tried to stop me from being elected too by dragging me into court with their insurrection lies, but liars don't win." And then Trump responds to that by saying, "We have a weaponized Department of Injustice. Very dangerous." Let's be clear. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene. The only word that they know is communist and Marxist. If you don't pray at the altar of the biggest traitor in American history, Donald Trump, if you're not willing to full-fledged lose all your self-respect and submit to the cult of Donald Trump, you are therefore a rhino communist Democrat. I mean, here they're calling Adam Kinzinger, a Republican, someone who truly is the word conservative, not the mutation within which MAGA has tried to co-opt that and try to make pro-insurrections, pro-election denialism, rooting for the COVID pandemic, trying to call that conservative. That's absolutely not conservative at all. But you're calling Adam Kinzinger communist left. That's how utterly pathetic this MAGA Republican Party is, where people like Adam Kinzinger, who actually is a principled Republican, someone who is conservative, you're calling him a communist left. But that's the word they use. You're a Marxist. You're a leftist. Because guess what? MAGA extremist Republicans who are now the Republican Party, they don't know how to govern. They don't know what the hell they're doing. All they want to do is talk about Mr. Potato Head and green M&Ms and Dr. Seuss and talk about, oh, we're so angry by pronouns. Really? When you get up in the morning, pronouns make you angry? Because what makes me angry is Americans who aren't getting paid for their hard-earned labor. That's what bothers me. What bothers me is that Americans don't have access to the health care they deserve. What bothers me is that prescription drug prices are being artificially inflated by drug companies, and we have a way to lower prescription drug prices, to put caps on it. That's what Democrats and a pro-democracy movement is trying to accomplish. And at all costs, Republicans are fighting for Big Pharma to jack up all of the prescription drug prices to artificially inflated levels. What pisses me off is that we have all of these jobs that are being shipped overseas, and Democrats are trying to invest in our infrastructure, trying to bring manufacturing jobs here with things like the CHIPS Act, trying to bring real important high-paying jobs back to America, and Republicans try to block that. What pisses me off is that we have veterans who come back from war, and Republicans are fist bumping and high-fiving themselves that they're blocking our veterans from getting health care for being exposed to toxic burn pits, to toxic tar pits when they are serving our country bravely abroad. That's what is making me angry, and that's what I want our government and our politics to fix. You know what also makes me angry? It also makes me angry when Donald Trump attacks the FBI, when he attacks the Department of Justice and says it's the Department of Injustice, when you try to overturn the rule of law. And look, do I think that we should have some degree of skepticism regarding the work that the FBI does in the Department of Justice? Absolutely. But here, in order to protect your cult leader, we have the Republican Party saying that they need to abolish the Espionage Act, that we should allow espionage because God forbid your cult leader may have engaged in espionage. So their new one is, let's abolish the Espionage Act. Let's abolish the FBI because the FBI executed a lawful search warrant and found that Donald Trump was stealing top secret government records, which literally has the ability to kill American soldiers abroad and kill our sources abroad. That's why you want to abolish the FBI and the Department of Justice. And then what's so pathetic too is the same way Marjorie Taylor Greene here is calling Adam Kinzinger a communist lefty. It's the same thing what Donald Trump and his MAGA extremists do to Bill Barr. It's what they do to Christopher Wray. Look, Bill Barr was your attorney general. He's not a Democrat. I know you want to call him a rhino. You want to call him a Democrat. We don't want him in the Democratic Party. Bill Barr covered up a lot of your crimes, but was just not willing to say that there was a secret satellite in Italy which beamed information to Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, which beamed the algorithm to Dominion, which changed the results of the election so that President Biden would get your votes, and utterly ridiculous conspiracy theories like that. Because Bill Barr was willing to go super far for you, but just called that batshit crazy, in your mind, he's a rhino now. And Christopher Wray, your FBI director, the person you appointed, Donald Trump, you call him a rhino. When you talk about the FBI in October of 2020, when you talk about the government in 2020, you were the executive in October of 2020. I mean, apparently you don't know that. You don't realize that. You actually do, but you want to continue to gaslight and grift off of your cult followers. But it is utterly, utterly despicable. And look, the reason that we call this behavior out here on the MeidasTouch network is because we're not going to close our eyes and cover our ears to the fact that the MAGA Republican Party is toxic. They are a cancer to our country, and they are led by a traitor, a deranged, disgusting, despicable traitor named Donald Trump, who goes about posting things like this each and every day. And the large media networks, they like to normalize this and go, oh, here's what liberals do. Here's what conservatives do. These MAGA extremists are not conservatives. This whole paradigm of a liberal and a conservative. Look, when Republicans Republicans want to support insurrection, support election denialism, when they are calling insurrectionists political prisoners, when they literally cheer on COVID, when they support QAnon cults, they're not conservative. Stop calling that behavior conservative. Call it what it is. It's fascism. It's extremism. It is a cult led by a traitor named Donald Trump. And this is the type of filth he posts every single day. Utterly despicable. We're going to keep on calling it out here on the MeidasTouch Network. Hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers. We just passed 800,000 subscribers, on our way to 1 million. So please hit the subscribe button. And in addition, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We have 0 outside investors here at the MeidasTouch Network. We are 100% crowdfunded, 100% independent, 100% accountable to you. We are reinventing the way media is done. And not only do we compete with the large media networks, but in many senses, we are getting more views and more engagement than them. And we are only accountable to you. And the way we do that is through our Patreon. So check it out. patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network.
Our blue wall stopped the red wave and election deniers got denied election. That's why we're celebrating with the new Democracy Prevails team. We've got lots of work to do, but we should all be proud that when democracy was tested, democracy prevailed. You've earned this. Don't wait. Get yours right now at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.